come to this from a little bit different angle. I mean, I came to treatment in 1988 originally. Bernie and I have been together for like 26 years. We were practicing addicts who then got sober together. Her 6 months before me, so she beat me to the punch. But you know, what happened for me was that about 2000, 2001, I relapsed, and I had been a successful entrepreneur in the technology industry, and through this process of kind of growing up in sobriety, I'd started some computer companies. There were some challenges along the way, and what happened, probably traumas, according to Bernie. And you know, in about 2000, I relapsed. And I found myself in 2004, you know, after a little period of being out there, 42, trying to figure out what I was going to do with myself. And one of the issues for me was that I was defined by what I did. And what I saw in this treatment center, which was, you know, what I'd seen the last time I'd been in treatment when I was in my 20s, was that people were doing okay while they were in treatment. Once they got stabilized in treatment, they were doing okay. But they were falling out really in high numbers when they were trying to get out of treatment. And what I saw was that they were confronted by the issues that Bernie talked about, with going back to their families, going back to trying to find some way of being productive again, or find some way of being either self-supporting or finding some purpose in their life. And they would be going through the treatment center, and get to the point of leaving, and then they would relapse. And then they come back to another form of dependency, what I saw. Dependency on the treatment center. And it would just keep recycling back in and in. And so what I saw was an opportunity, was that there, you know, I'd learned being in the computer industry. I went through the big .com era where everybody was throwing money at things, and all, you know, the stock market was bubbling, and there were venture capital people all around. And I thought to myself, you know, maybe there's a way that some of the people in the investment community, the people that kind of control the capital in the United States, would be able to see this as a huge, huge opportunity, not only a problem. And the opportunity really is that this is one of the biggest healthcare problems in the nation. I mean, economically, it costs the United States almost a $500 billion a year just to treat substance abuse, which is included in alcoholism and drug addiction. If you throw in cigarettes or eating or some of these other things, it's off the charts. So, you know, if you look at the addictive disorders across the board, this is you know, $1 trillion problem for the United States each year. It's a huge number. I mean, Iraq is basically about a $200 billion a year war. We're 5 times as big with addictive disorders. This is huge. And so I'm sitting in this treatment center, of course, newly sober, trying to dream about what I would do with myself. And I thought to myself, there's really only 2 things I've ever done in my life. I've started businesses, and I've been a recovering alcoholic addict. And you know, luckily my wife is a therapist, and she taught me about what an organizing principle is. And what happened to me was, when I put the 2 things together, entrepreneurship and recovery, it organized the way that I thought about my life. And what it became was a feeling of purpose, that I can apply the gift that I was given, which I look at things from an entrepreneur's perspective, like it can be changed, it can be made better, there is something that we can do about this. And I want to help bring in and invite in all of the business people around the country, the investors, the angel investors, the venture capitalists, the people that manage those big hedge funds, to look at this as an opportunity for them both to, you know, make a successful investment and solve a social problem. And that's defined in the country today as social entrepreneurship. The ability to look at business as a tool of kind of making a difference in a social problem. And what my focus and what 180's focus has been on is solving the problems of addictive disorders. So I came up with the idea of a foundation, and the foundation's name was the 12 Angels. And what that was, the 12 from the 12 steps. And at the time, I was doing some angel investing, and there's this group of people that do early stage investing, trying to get businesses off the ground. They're called angel investors. They come in kind of in the first early stages of the business and invest. And I thought to myself, maybe there's a way that we can do this, where we can actually kind of have a group of people that become knowledgeable from the business community on using entrepreneurship to solve some of the problems. And what can it solve? Well, one of the things that we have a problem with is getting people back to work from early recovery, because nobody wants to hire us. Our resumes are horrible. I mean, you know, if I really put down what I actually did on my resume, nobody would even look at it. You know, I spent 6 months at my last treatment center at 42. I'm going to put down, yeah, I just spent 6 months in a rehab. Like, is that supposed to go? Where does that go? Education or experience? You know, the next thing is, like most of us, or a lot of us, not most of us, but some of us get arrested. And we get arrested for, you know, we bump a car while we're drinking and driving, that's a felony. So we can have felony convictions that aren't easily hidden anymore because of computers. You know, the third thing is, how many of us have, you know, as family and friends who are not addicts, tried to help an addict? It's horribly frustrating. And over, providing jobs or opportunities to people, you know, one more time, and they like take this great opportunity and screw it up. So friends and family after a while just get tired. They don't want to help us anymore. And so we're left, as another great word, disenfranchised. Disenfranchised from work. And what I saw was that we have huge unemployment, huge disability, where people aren't disabled who are in our community. And that's one of the big factors that make that number so big. But how do we get people jobs where in the first year of recovery we're squirrely? You know, I have a ton of friends of mine that are entrepreneurs in the program who have gone through their own recovery. They will not hire people in early recovery. They just won't. We're like the plague. They don't want us around their business. They say, you know, I have this business, it's my livelihood. I'm not going to take the risk of hiring somebody in early recovery. I just won't do it anymore. Because they steal, they relapse, they lie, they don't show up, they don't have good work skills. And yet, if us business people that are in the program won't kind of make an offer to somebody in early recovery, who's going to do it? So what really happens is we learned a lot. When we're coming out of that treatment center, we get to make up great stories about what we did to get a job. My story was I went traveling in Europe, right? 6 months, I was traveling. I was in hostels, I was doing all this great adventure stuff, right? I told a great story to the people interviewing me because I wanted to make them believe that I wasn't a drug addict anymore. I was just out traveling in Europe. That's what explains why I have a big gap in my resume. And there are many, many stories. We can tell friends who, you know, I work for this person's company or that person's company. They're all lies. So what happens is the employer, you know, gets kind of this wonderful person who says all the right things, you know, smart, talented, gifted, comes in and lies to the employer about where they're at. They're 2 months sober. And, you know, they're a great worker. For the first month, they look great. They are doing everything right. And then what happens? They start to cry in the middle of their job, and they don't show up. They start stealing things. They relapse, right? But the employer's blindsided. They don't really get it. They don't understand what happened to the greatest worker they ever hired for the cheapest amount of money. What happened? You know, why does this person who was once an attorney who's been disbarred, you know, it's like we have all across the board people that have tremendous amounts of education and talent that are not productive. And that's where we have to work, and that's what 180 was really founded on. Because what Bernie and I talked about when we first started our first treatment center was, guess who gets jobs at treatment centers? Recovering addicts. It no longer is something to be looked at as something to be ashamed of. We're actually talented. We can help other people get treatment and come into recovery. So there are jobs created. And 180 luckily has been able to create so far about 40 jobs for recovering addicts, which I'm really, really proud of. The second thing is that what can we do? Well, the reason that we chose kind of a high-end treatment center was because today the only people that really can pay for treatment are the wealthy, who really get a truly integrative approach to treatment. So we can give them the best treatment available to mankind, and they can pay for it. What does that do? That gives us an opportunity to introduce the people that are from all those families with all of the capital behind them to recovery. And they can learn how to change their lives. And why we connect with organizations like Get Love, which is, I believe, one of the significant partners that we have at 180. Get Love feeds the homeless. And what really the connection is between us and them is that their purpose. When you can't work in early recovery, what you can do is volunteer. The other thing that we do is we take all of our people down to feed the homeless. And we do that on a regular basis. We're down there 3 times a week. Bernie said that we feed them once. The 2 other groups go down 2 more times a week. And the reason that we do that is because maybe they'll feel like they can help somebody else, which is one of those connections to recovery that people need to feel and build their own self-worth and self-esteem. And so with Get Love as our partner, we've been able to kind of find a place to be of service to their community. And then we thought, okay, well, we consider Get Love helping people. So then we thought, well, maybe we should expand this. Why don't we help the environment? So now we're trying to plant trees and go help, clean up the water and do all this stuff, because that's another way that people connect. And the last is animals. So our 3 choices, if you're a person at 180, is you want to help some animals, you want to help some people, or you want to help the environment. But find someone to help. And with all the resources here, of all the wealth and the power and fame and everything that comes to a treatment center like that, we've been able to do some amazing things. Justin, who's was one of the first people here to start 180 with us, he basically runs around through his connections and through the people he meets, and he raises money for these local charities. Today, Amanda, who's one of our producers, is basically wearing $55,000 earrings on her ears.
You saw it.
Yeah, that are going to be done in our silent auction for Get Love to raise money to help feed the homeless. And Justin's ability to go and say, hey, you know what, please help. And he's done stuff for foster children. He's creating a Venice center down for kids that are over 18 who were kicked out of the foster system to actually have a place to go. He's helped raise money for Haiti. He's hopefully he'll someday raise money for my organization, the 12 Angels. And you know what? I'm just so proud of that part of our program. That's the thing that really makes me the most happy. So I'm really, really honored to be a part of this community. I'm really honored to work with the people that we do, because our team is just amazing. They're really, really dedicated. And when you see everybody around here helping, in different places, they're all part of our workforce. They're the team that makes 180, fly. So that's about it for me. Thank you.